Today's topic is a cry for help. A 12-year-old and a 13-year-old were caught smooching, and the mom of the girl wants to know what she can do to prevent a reoccurrence. My name is Enimi Orebo. Welcome to Parenting with Enimi Orebo. The parent reached out disappointed, heartbroken, understandably so, especially when you feel, oh, you've taught everything, you've guided the child, then you want to sit back and ask yourself, where did I go wrong? The truth of the matter is no child wants to disappoint the parents. No child wants to be in that position where the child sits and where the parents sit and begin to wonder where they go wrong. Where it happens, there are factors responsible for the choices your child makes, whether sexual inappropriate behavior, stealing, cheating, fighting, telling lies. There are factors responsible for them. And if you do not understand these factors, you will not be able to guide your child to prevent a reoccurrence. It's like someone not feeling well, you get to the hospital. The first thing the doctor wants to do is to make sure you run a test so that they can trace the root cause of your behavior. So same thing the root cause of your illness. Same thing applies when the child misbehaves. You actually want to sit back and examine the behavior and trace it to the root cause of the behavior. Now, this is why staying calm is the first thing you need to do when issue comes up. You need to learn to stay calm. You need to learn to offer unjudgmental support. This is the only way you can unearth the root cause and be able to proffer solutions or prevent reoccurrence. So I want to reemphasize the need for you to stay calm. You need to stay calm and be able to provide non-judgmental support, as this is the only way you can have an honest conversation. If you don't have an honest conversation, you will not be able to reach the root cause of this issue. The truth of the matter is, you may have 3-4 children and they indulge in the same behavior for different reasons. They will not do that for the same reason. And if you do not understand the reason they are actually doing what they are doing, you will not be able to proffer solution. You will not be able to prevent a reoccurrence. Again, like I said, no matter the behavior of your child, you need to be able to find out the root cause of it. I remember one time I was in a speaking engagement and I gave them this short illustration. I said, if you have your old school girls or old school boys calling you for a meeting, everybody has reasons they want to go. I remember one time they did one, I know of one, and one of the ladies that went there said she went there to get help, to look for her old schoolmates network so that she can get help. Some will go because they want to go and show off their new cars and things like that. Some will go because they want to go and meet their old friends. Some will go because they want to go and eat party jollof. You know, a lot of reasons. Some will go because they heard, oh, they're inviting this celebrity to MC the occasion. So different reasons will motivate people to attend. Now, let me ask you, if someone who wants to go because she wants to go and show off a new car, there's nothing you want to say to her that may make her change her mind because she wants to go and show off. If you are looking at other reasons, is it because are you going because of party jollof? You have not eaten party jollof before. I'll give you party jollof. Are you going there to network? Don't worry, I'll take you to a particular place where you are going to network. You can suggest other reasons. If it doesn't meet the original reason she wants to go, it will not be easy for you to make her change her mind. Same thing happens when children misbehave. You need to trace it to the root cause, understand the reason for the misbehavior so that you can fix it. In trying to find out the genuine reason, the root cause of your child's behavior or misbehavior, you need to learn to listen. Listen to understand. It is very important. You do not assume. You do not conclude. You listen to understand. Listening is a skill. I'm going to share on how you can listen effectively some other time. Now, let's look at the reasons your child or the woman's child went into inappropriate sexual behavior at home. One reason children go into inappropriate sexual activity or experiment with sexual activity early is because they are curious. Yes, curiosity. You may have taught them but in a way that may have heightened their curiosity. You may have taught them, yeah, they see TV all the time, they see billboards all the time, they hear friends or people talk about it all the time. They become curious. They actually want to know, okay, they want to learn it practically, really. So that may make them want to go into it. They want to know what is the big deal. Now, one of the things is that many parents have not presented themselves to be trustworthy. If you have not presented yourself to be trustworthy, if your child has not been able to trust you absolutely, then whatever you say may not just sink in because there is always a hole in it. So for that reason, they are curious. They may want to just experiment because they don't believe what you're saying. Because a lot of times we give instructions, we teach children based on our selfish reasons, based on our selfish interests. And children, they know, they are smart. Oh, mommy is doing this because mommy is the boss, or mommy doesn't just want me to do it. So if you have that kind of a relationship with your child, I bet you your child will want to experiment with some of the things you are telling him or her not to. Because your child does not trust that those things you are telling him not to, they're actually for his or her interest. So the first is curiosity. You want to actually teach your child sex education in an age appropriate way. You want to make sure your teachings will not heighten your child's curiosity. You want to make sure your environment aligns with what you are teaching. You want to make sure you answer your child's every question he or she asks you when it comes to sex matter. You answer in an age appropriate way. We are going to have a class here, hopefully, to help learn more about how to sex educate our children effectively. I hope you stay with us, you subscribe, you turn on your notification button so that you always get our videos when they are posted. You can also check our previous videos because we have value here. Another reason children experiment with inappropriate sexual activity early is because of peer pressure. They see their friends doing it. Peer influence and peer pressure. Peer influence, they see their friends doing it, they see it being done around them, and nobody is necessarily pressuring them to do it. But, because of the way the environment is, they just feel, okay, maybe it's something cool, they also go into doing it, especially when they realize, okay, you have warned them, you have threatened them that if you do this, this will happen. And that thing is not happening to their friend. Now imagine you say, if you go into sexual intercourse with a boy, you are going to get pregnant for the girl, and their friends are not getting pregnant. Now this is why I said you must be able to earn your child's trust. I said, because your child needs to trust you. If you want to pass your values to your child, if you want to be able to influence your child at the end of the day, you need your child to be able to trust you. We actually have a video on how you can earn your child's trust in this channel. You want to check back and watch the video. So when that happens, it's easy for them to not to believe what you have said. They feel, oh, you are doing it for your own good, or you are just doing it because you are the mom, or you just want to be bossy, or you just want to restrict them to certain experiences and all of that. This can be one of the motivations for them to experiment with sexual activity early. So another one is peer pressure. I just talked about peer influence. Talking about peer pressure, they actually have friends who may be peer pressuring them, directly pressuring them, like talking, there are different ways children get pressured. There's a direct one, which is bullying. There's one that is verbal. There's one that is organizing gangs. You have a friends who have cliques, and because you don't have a boyfriend, you are not going to be part of the clique. That's peer pressure. Your child is now tempted to say, okay, because I want to be among this clique, I want to belong to this clique, I too can have a boyfriend. And then having a boyfriend from there, how one thing can lead to another. Now, especially if you have a child who always wants to belong, you have a child who needs approval, you have a child who wants to feel cool, who wants to be popular at all costs, you can be sure that things like this, their friends can easily pressure them into doing what they don't want to do, and which may include inappropriate sexual activity. Now, this is why it's very important for you to understand the innate motivation of your child. Understand your child's temperament, because your child's temperament is actually his or her innate motivation. And luckily, I have a book that'll help you understand your child's temperament. Absolutely. I'll share the book here. You can you can just send a message under this video that you want to get the book. That's fine. Absolutely. So you want to make sure your child has the right skills to withstand peer pressure. Another reason is lack of awareness. Your child may not be aware of the consequences, or may not be aware that some behaviors are not appropriate. They just do things randomly. They just, they don't have boundaries. Lack of awareness can actually be a motivation for children to go into inappropriate sexual activity. So what you want to do is to make sure that you have well equipped your child. Your child is well aware of the consequences of inappropriate sexual activities. Your child is well aware of his or her boundaries. Another reason is modeling. It has been modeled to the child. Even though you have told your child, oh, don't do this or don't do that, your child has seen it being done around him or her several times. They've seen it on television, they've seen it on billboard, musical lyrics around them. So they become curious. Yes, because it has been modeled to them, they become curious. They actually want to experiment. They want to see how it feels again. So modeling is very important. I hear of couples who are in their room and they are doing their thing and they are making so much noise that the children are being disturbed in the house in the night. They know what you are doing. You are putting ideas into their head. Ideas into their head. Curiosity stems from that too. They become curious because you're putting ideas into their head. Actually, when they grow older, they've unfortunately met all these things, met porn sites, met porn magazines, billboard. Porn is almost everywhere. You don't even have to go to a private corner to look at porn. You just see it everywhere. No, when they have seen these things once or twice and they remember the noise you make when you are doing your do, they put them together and they become more curious. So modeling is one of the reasons that children want to experiment with sex when it's not early, when it's not time for them to actually go into that. Modeling. Want to make sure that your environment is not modeling values you don't want to pass to your children. The fifth one is lack of skills to self-regulate. Now, this is the big one. Lack of skills to self-regulate. We can't hide the fact that children have feelings. They will have the urge, they'll have the sensation, they'll feel somehow. So not having the skills to actually self-regulate, not have the skill to control what is going on, how they are feeling, is one of the major reasons children actually indulge in inappropriate sexual activity. This parent said the boy in question will always come to our house to get some things done, and that was how, each time he comes around, they are just in a cool place talking, and according to the daughter, that was what happened. From talking, playing, inappropriate touch, and all of that, before she knew what was happening, it has developed from just inappropriate touch to inappropriate activity, really. Let me put it that way. Inappropriate activity. So you want to make sure your daughter needs to learn, or your son needs to learn how to control themselves, how to self-regulate. They need that knowledge, they need that skill to be able to self-regulate, because they are going to be in a situation. We can't take the fact that they may find themselves in that situation, that their body start firing, their hormones start firing. They may be in that situation. So one of the problem is lack of self-discipline, lack of self-regulation capacity, lack of self-control. They don't have the skill to be able to stop it at that time. Now, this is a big one. Now, this is why, despite you have done everything, you see here, oh, this child still goes into inappropriate sexual activity, because that time, the feelings, the hormones, everything was firing. He or she did not have the control to stop it then. Now, to how to prevent a reoccurrence, or how to skillfully empower your child not to indulge in inappropriate sexual activity. One of the first things you want to do, like I said, is to understand your child's innate drive. It is very important. Like I said, you are attending your old girls association meeting. it's for different reasons. So children want to indulge in activities for different reasons. So you want to understand your child's innate drive. Is it because of peer pressure? Is it because she's afraid to say no, not bold enough? I know of children who are afraid to say no. Because of that, they fall victim of molestation or indulging in inappropriate sexual activities and all of that. Not because we have not taught them, but because they just don't have the capacity to say no. So you want to understand that. You want to understand, is it peer pressure? Even if it's peer pressure, why will your child fall in? Why will your child give in to peer pressure? Is it because they want to be cool? They don't want to be seen as a novice or not wise or not civilized? Is it because they want to feel powerful? Is it because they want to please someone? Is it because the pairs they are trying to belong to provide them a sense of bond and security, love that they don't have at home? Is that the reason? So you want to understand, if it is peer pressure, you want to understand the actual innate drive, the innate motivation. Now, if it's curiosity, you also want to understand, how did that curiosity get heightened? What heightened the curiosity? You actually want to know about that so that you can know how to prevent it next time, or how to make your environment more child friendly to avoid things that will heighten their curiosity. Is it modeling? If someone has modeled it to them, or him or her, then you actually want to see how you can minimize your child exposure to those things that will make them want to indulge in inappropriate sexual activity. If it's television, it's billboard, is the songs they listen to, or people around them, you actually want to know how you can minimize those things to help them behave, or rather to help them be in line with your values and things like that. And lastly, lack of awareness, you actually want to educate them more, equip them more, make them more aware of the consequences, make them more aware of their boundaries, make them more aware of everything they need to be aware of. Now, lastly, I said lastly, that was an error. Lastly, if it is lack of skills, you want to empower them. You want to skill them up so that, like I said, they are going to face these feelings. These feelings are going to come. It's normal. They are human beings. It's going to come. You know, there are boys that want to like corner them and put them in a place where they become vulnerable. You understand these things. You were once their age. You know how these things work. Yes. So these things will come. They are reality. They are real. So you actually want to skill them up. You want to empower them. You want to empower them so much so that when they face that situation, they are going to be able to hold back. Let's talk about how to empower them. So if you find value here, if you find it empowering, please, you want to subscribe, you want to share, you want to like, and you want to leave a comment. Help me build this community. I rely on you to help me build this community. Thank you. If you're an old subscriber, if you are coming back, thank you. Thank you for trusting me to give you value. God bless you. Please comment, share, and like. And please share. It's important to share so that I can build this community. Parents can come and get empowered some more. So let's go into how to skill them up. Yes, because I said they are going to have the feelings. They're going to have the urge. They're going to have hormones firing. So what do they do in the face of hormones firing? I always say to parents that each time a child behaves or misbehaves, there are options, there are alternative behaviors that the child would have gone for. Let's look at the practical one. The child steals because he is hungry. Why does he steal? He has alternative options. He has options. He has them going hungry. He has begging. He has just eating everything, going to the junk site, picking something, eating, just anything. But the child chooses to steal. Why does that happen? It's either because the child is not aware of the other options available, or the child is aware, the child doesn't have the capacity to take other options, or the child doesn't believe in the efficacy of the other options. Hence the option the child is going for. So when your child is in a tight situation, is boxed up in a corner, and these hormones hormone is firing up, the child has options to, has an option to quickly take a break and leave there, has an option to just tell the person no, stop, has an option to give in, and other options I can't think of now. So if the child decides to give in, it's either because the child doesn't have the skill to assess other options, or the child doesn't just realize that there are other options. So the first thing you want to do is you want to bear it as it is. When we sex empower our children, we stop at certain things. We don't let the children know that they have feelings. These things will happen. They will be tempted. They will be in a corner. A lot of things will happen that will make them vulnerable. For example, they can experiment with alcohol because they just want to feel cool with friends. They don't want to feel left out. This can actually make them vulnerable. We don't go into deep details and explain these things to them. So now the first thing you want to do is to holistically empower your child. Let your child know how he or she can be vulnerable. Teach them about boundaries, red alerts, red flags. Teach them what to expect at certain age, at certain events, gatherings, with certain friends. Teach them how to identify the signs. Yes, this person is coming on to me. This person looks like he's going to make me uncomfortable. When they start saying things like this, when they start touching like this, when they start coming close like this, make it practical for your child who is already preteen or almost teenager. Make it practical. Let them know this is it. Yes, we've talked about sex education. We've talked about the need to actually wait till you are ready, the time is right. We've talked about all of that, but I let you know that as you are growing up, you are going to meet situations where you are going to be vulnerable. So this is what happens. When this happens, just know that you are going to be in a vulnerable situation. This is the boundary. This is the red alert. When someone begins to say things like this, it's time to leave. When someone begins to touch you like this, it's time to stand up and be assertive. When someone begins to come close to you, begin to box you, take you to one corner or things like that, these are your boundaries. They are your no-go boundaries. You need to stand up and have them stopped so that you are not going to fall victim. You need to have this conversation with your child. Yes, you know that you are having this conversation with your child, you are going to be in this situation and all of that. What happens when the feelings just come? When before you realize it, the person kind of starts coming gradually. You don't even realize it. You're not paying attention to the red flags or the boundaries. And before you know what is happening, the person is coming. And you now have the feeling, the urge, or your hormone is already firing. What are you going to do? At this point, you need to teach your child how to distract himself or herself from that emotions, what they can do. Now, this is what I always tell parents, to teach their children to grow a hobby that is not necessarily going to be monetized, just a hobby. I call it a handy hobby, a hobby that can easily distract them, such as reading, singing, something that is really, really handy. Sometimes in the middle of the night, when children are already in these teenage years, they can have the urge to touch themselves, and if they want to distract themselves, what can they do? If you say, okay, my hobby is footballing, swimming, and dancing and all of that, those hobbies are not they are good hobbies, but they are not handy hobbies. They're not hobbies they can easily pick and use at that time. So what is he going to do? He's going to look for hobbies that are handy, and such hobbies are reading, drawing, meditating, just some of those things they can easily do on their bed. So your child can actually encourage them to develop hobbies that can come handy, that when these thoughts, these feelings are overwhelming, they can easily switch to their hobbies and use it to drain their energy. Writing, yes, reading, writing, painting, drawing, a lot of things they can do, to journaling, yes, a lot of things they can do actually to draw out that energy at that time. So you want to actually teach them how to distract themselves. It is evil communication corrupts good manners, they say. So if the environment is the major issue, like modeling or heightening their curiosity, you actually want to change the environment for them. Then you want to register them in mentorship programs. A lot of parents don't explore these things. I don't know why. So you want to register them in programs. Let me tell you one of the reasons you need to register your child in mentorship programs, because there's every likelihood that every child in that place is from an intentional home, is from a home where parents are intentional. They have values they are passing to your children. So when your child goes there and mixes up with them, your child is going to learn from them. He's going to be in an environment where his good manners, your values are going to be reinforced, compared to you just leaving him in a porous environment. So again, you want to register your child in a mentorship program. You want to have them in a saner environment. Yes, mentorship programs where they are taught to be ladies or to be gentlemen, where they are taught to wait, they are taught purity, where they are taught to read, they are taught self-development, they are taught purposeful living, intentional living. You want to register them in such mentorship programs when they are taught to be responsible, where they have role models in the people who are doing great, who they want to see, when they don't suffer low self-esteem, where they are taught that, hey, you are good enough as you are, you don't need this, where they are taught to stand up for themselves. You want to register them in such programs. Like I was saying, that if you understand the root cause, if your child lacks love and support at home, that is what he or she is looking for outside. If your child feels powerless at home, so for him to feel powerful outside, he needs to belong to a clique that may pressure him into experimenting with sex when that's against your value. You actually want to understand the innate reason, because understanding this innate reason will help you know exactly what to work on. If your child doesn't feel loved at home, then you want to begin to reconnect with your child so that he or she can feel love. He doesn't need approval outside. He doesn't need to experiment with sex outside to prove his or herself. If your child feels powerless outside, you actually want to see how you can revisit your parenting style to raise the child you want. And another reason is self-esteem. You want to understand if your child has low self-esteem, if your child is struggling with self-esteem, if this is the reason he or she is doing what he or she is doing, then you want to begin to revisit your parenting style. You want to register them in mentorship programs like I've talked about before, so that your child can your child can be you can have an environment that reinforces the values you want. You can have the environment that helps your child grow gracefully, grow into the woman or the man you want or you desire, or they should be. Another thing you want to do is you want to encourage them to get a passion, something they are passionate about. They become creative, they become thinkers. There is something they are passionate about. Apart from schoolwork and schoolwork, there is something they can do with their hands that actually drive them, that motivates them. It's drawing, like I said, painting, cooking, baking, sewing, coding, just something that drives them, they can channel their energy, that can help them channel their energy into good use. You want to help them in the line of passion. Now, the last one I want to talk about is boundaries. I've talked about it in passive already. It's important they understand relationships, they define relationships. It's important they understand body language. Relationships, body language, where to stop. It's important they understand red flags, signals. It's important they understand those things. It's important they know where to stop, even when they are playing. I work with young school children. I teach them manners, etiquette, sexuality education, leadership skills. And I've been to schools before. I remember one time I was in a school, the primary 5 and primary 6 girls, the way they were playing, jumping at their music teacher. He just came in and he was praying there for Christmas. was it Christmas or graduation ceremony? I don't remember which of the two ceremonies now, but I know he was coming to prepare them, and they were so excited to see him. I could understand why they were excited, but the way they kept sitting on him, even when the young man was pushing them away, he wasn't comfortable. They kept sitting on him, dragging him all over, you know. So you need to let them know where to stop. Where to stop. The truth of the matter is, some may be innocently dragging. That's peer pressure, peer influence. Some may be innocently dragging. There are some that are dragging because they actually want to get attention. They want the teacher to notice them in a different way. You know, they are dragging, sitting on his laps, targeting his penis or something, sitting there and all of that. There are some that are actually doing that. And there are some who don't even know they're innocently jumping on him and just flowing with it, flowing with the whole thing. So you need to empower your child to understand boundaries, body language, relationship, define relationship. You have a pastor, you have an uncle, you have a friend, where it stops. You need to teach them red alerts. They need to understand when coded words, where the words are becoming not so safe. They need to understand all of that. And you also need to bust the myth around sex education for them, sex and all of that, because that is one of the ways children get vulnerable. You hear things like, oh, you have pimples on your face, if you have sex with a guy, it is going to stop, you are not fat, you've not seen your menstrual cycle. A lot of these myths, you need to bust them. This is why it's important. When we are having our class on sex education, I am going to talk about a lot of things that we need to actually empower our children. We're going to talk about more. We need to empower our children so that they can always be safe. And this is why I really want to grow this community to 1,000 subscribers so that I can have live class. I can come here and we can talk for 1 hour. Because now I am trying to make sure this video is not long. I'm trying to make sure this video is not long. But when we have a live class, we can talk for 1 hour, 2 hours. We are just talking, gisting, you're asking questions, I'm interacting, I'm answering them right away. It becomes more interesting. So again, please subscribe. If you have not subscribed, it's not going to cost you anything to subscribe. So please subscribe, share. You are getting value. Why are you not sharing? Okay, even if you're not getting value, someone may get value. Please share, like, leave your comment. I greatly appreciate you. I hope you've learned today. I hope you've been blessed today. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Inappropriate. See you next time.